Hey, it is your girl Abby, aka New Age Coach here, and I am lighting the way for those on their way to the lights. And I'm also trying to light the way for me so I can find the light again. You can definitely see I have a tan, and that is because I just got back from a free, all-inclusive trip to St. Martin, which I am thankful for. I was able to celebrate Easter yesterday, which I'm also grateful for. Got to spend real good quality time with family members, the kids in our family, just be around people that you love and care for and who love and care for you, which is always great. I can be grateful that I have a roof over my head, that I have food on my table, that I have a place to work. I can be grateful for all of this stuff, and I am, but lately, all I can say about it is so what? Lately, I have just been feeling like I have no grip on reality anymore. Like I'm floating in the ecosphere, in a void, just aimless, no direction. I'm not connected to anything. I have nothing to hold on to. Like it's just nothingness, and it's confusion and it's chaos. And I know that I'm Abby. I know who I am. I know that I'm me. Yet I feel like I'm not me anymore either. And I went to feeling like I am on top of the world over the last few months through my spiritual awakening journey that I've documented through YouTube and having these amazing spiritual experiences, to again lately feeling like the universe has just cut me off completely and has turned its back on me. I went to feeling like I knew what my purpose was, I knew I was on the right path, and I knew what I needed to do. And that includes YouTube. But now I've been in a space of feeling uninspired and feeling uninterested and just unsure of everything. And as I'm emotionally in this space, in this spiritual void, it's no wonder that my second float tank experience, which is what this video will be about, presented that same experience in my reality. So over the weekend, I went to the same float tank center that I tried for my first time. So I'll link that first video below if you're interested in seeing my first float tank experience. But this tank I tried this time, it had actually a starry skylight, and it had some lights that you could put on underwater that gave it different colors. So it wasn't the complete sensory deprivation experience like the one I had initially, but you have the choice to shut the lights off from the ceiling or the water if you wanted to kind of mimic that sensory deprivation experience. But for me, I shut the water lights off. I kept the starry skylight on, even though I really did try to keep my eyes closed for majority of the time. And I just lay there with my eyes closed in complete darkness and in complete silence, trying to just meditate, trying to really go inwards. And again, just all I saw was black with my eyes closed, and just depths and waves of black and darkness, like an abyss that I was just like going deep into. And again, I just felt depths of like nothingness, and it was a bit jarring, the nothingness that I felt. And it started to get annoying to me because I felt like I was just floating, like literally, but also in my mind space in this black abyss of nothingness. And like there was nowhere to go. There was nothing for me to see. There was nothing for me to do. And then I just had no concept of how long I'm gonna be in this space or how long I've been in this space. Like I didn't know if I was in the float tank for 5 minutes or if I was in there for the hour that I had booked. I had no clue. And that became like annoying to me. And there were times that I actually had to open my eyes and look up at that starry skyline just to ground myself and remind myself, oh my God, there's so much darkness here. But wait, opening my eyes gave me just that sense of like, oh, light, like you're there. Like I'm not just floating aimlessly out here by myself. And now that I've had time outside of the float tank to just kind of process all this too, like I think that's symbolic in itself, wondering how long I've been in the tank, kind of resistance against that and getting annoyed with it and having these feelings arise. And it really just, it's mimicking the spiritual space that I'm in now, this void. And I realized, or I had like kind of this epiphany today, that it's symbolic because it's not about trying to get out of the void purposely, or it's not trying to get out of that tank purposely, or trying to count the minutes that you're in it or how much longer you have to get to the other side. It's not about dwelling or thinking like everything is purposeless, or like, what's the point of me floating here and doing this? I'm not getting anything out of it. Or what's the point of me being in this void? Like, I'm not getting anything out of this. It's just against everything I feel like I should be doing, like being grateful, being positive, being excited, when it's just not in me right now. And You know, what I've learned is it's all about surrendering to the space that you're in. So surrendering to that float, surrendering to the void, looking at it from the perspective of I am here. Like, this is where I am right now. Literally, symbolically, I am here, and this is where I'm at now in my journey, and that's okay. And it's perfect in its own way. And I'm supposed to embrace it. And the float tank experience, this was a reminder to me that I have to float through this phase of my spiritual journey. Let it naturally just flow as it's supposed to. And like those stars on the float tank skyline, there is still light and always will be light through the darkness. So what did my float tank experience actually teach me about the void? Well, for starters, it lit a fire under me to search for answers on what I had been feeling lately, or in better terms, not feeling lately, through my own personal spiritual journey. And it led me to this phrase that I've said many times now through this video. It is known as the spiritual void. The void can be viewed as a plateau that most of us will come to at some point, some of us multiple times, while on our journey towards consciousness expansion. So when expanding our consciousness, each level upwards kind of has its own version of this spiritual void that I'm talking about, or this spiritual abyss. And beyond each of these voids, there's always the beginning of another spiral upwards to a greater knowing of yourself and just of life in general. And the void is also kind of known as the womb, or this place of all creation and kind of endless possibilities. And you can consider anything you want to make a reality become real in this void, because it's about creation. It's this gestation period, this incubation period, again, where you can actually think about what you want and then create what you want. And the void can be a confusing space if you haven't got that already from this video, because in it, you can get stuck in this perception of nothing matters, there's no point to this, nothing makes sense, and there's no reason for anything anymore. But being in the void each time, it's exactly what you need to then remind you that we are creative beings. We are creators, and it is up to us individually and collectively to give meaning to our own lives and to give meaning to life overall. So, of course, this can be scary, but it can also be really exciting, and it can leave us feeling empty, but it can also make us realize how powerful we are and how completely in control we are of the direction that we're taking our soul. So in this void, it is all about perspective on how you look at it. And for the record, I don't think it is a coincidence that the last video I made, The Art of Spirituality, which I will link below, was all about me getting a download on, you guessed it, perspective. And it was about changing how I look at situations in order to be able to move through them gracefully and understand that I am changing and that this is a process. And in that video, I talked about my life situations and my work situations really kind of mirroring my spiritual journey, much like my float tank experience that I'm talking about in this video is mirroring my current spiritual journey as well. If there's one thing I've learned in the spiritual journey, it's understanding or knowing that if you're feeling one type of way, it typically means that you need to give more of that. So, for example, if you're feeling like money is tight, then you should be giving more and donating and doing charity work. If you're feeling like there's lack, then you should focus on all the abundance around you and just show gratitude for what you do have. So I sit here knowing that I'm in this void right now as I make this video. I'm in a space where I'm feeling a bit disoriented and a bit helpless. Even though I know those things aren't real, that's how I feel. This is a feeling state, being in the void. And that's why I wanted to share 5 tips or reminders for those of you going through the same thing so that I can help you. Because I'm feeling helpless, I want to be in a position that I can be on YouTube helping. So remember these things if you're in the same situation going through this spiritual void, and this should help get you through. And me through, because I'm talking to myself when I say them to you as well. Tip number 1, or reminder number 1, though you're probably feeling lonely, you are not alone. And what you're feeling, how you're feeling, or again, not feeling, it is completely normal. So feel away. Feel all those feelings, boo. Tip or reminder number 2. The void, as terrifying or unfulfilling or as depressing as it can feel while you're in it, this is actually a positive thing. So keep that in mind. Again, it's a nurturing space. Think of the womb analogy that I mentioned earlier, a baby in utero, growing strong, learning how to survive, creating his or herself quite literally, like growing arms and legs and literally manifesting themselves into the physical world to be birthed. And in this space, in this void, the same thing is true. It's a space where you're a creator and you can manifest into your physical reality the things that you actually want. So it's time to feed yourself while you're in this womb and really baby yourself and really just take care of yourself and be gentle with yourself and be patient with yourself because you're creating the future that you want. Tip or reminder number 3, and that is don't try to escape it, okay? Just surrender. And I know that so much, all of the stuff that I'm saying is so much easier to say than to do. And again, I hope that's why you appreciate the fact that I'm in the space with you. So I know these sound easy, but it's really hard. But they are intended to be helpful and just get you through because you have to really try to find balance in this imbalance, this space of like eggshell walking, the space of like, what is this? So even though you might not feel like you have the energy to muster up, just try to take the small steps to do something inspiring or new or something that will be fulfilling while you're in this void. And it doesn't have to be anything grandioso or big because I know that sometimes just getting out of bed and putting pants on in the space is like the biggest win in the world. But do something as simple as going outside, sitting in the grass, literally just breathing and taking deep breaths. Open a book to a random page and just get some inspiration that way. Color, paint, draw, just something to keep you moving through. Tip and reminder number 4, and that is trust yourself and timing. Focus on the positive. Again, I know easy said, hard to do, but just be at peace with where you are. You're exactly where you need to be. Everything is perfect, even in this imperfection. And just try to, again, remember that the void is here to teach you a lesson or to light a fire under you, to change your direction or path, to help you create something new in life, or just taking this space in this void to heal whatever it is that needs to heal for you to go to this next kind of layer or spiritual level. And you can't run before you walk. So just, again, take one step at a time. Trust that when you're ready, you will progress, you will get past it, you will move on, and things will make sense again, as they always do. Tip reminder number 5. Okay, this one is my favorite because I have said it through multiple videos and I just wholeheartedly believe it and have seen it. And it is, this spiritual journey is a process. So I would be lying if I came onto YouTube and told you again, it was all rainbows and butterflies and just talk about the great experiences I've had and all the cool things that have happened that I've seen through my third eye, etc. Like that's all great and dandy, but this is a real channel. This is my real life. This is kind of a process that I want to document with you, go through it with you and understand it with you and for myself as well. So we're a partner here. So again, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be peaks and valleys. There are going to be times where there's rapid fire of synchronicities and signs from the universe and spiritual experiences that you're having and just pure bliss and connectedness. And then there are going to be times like now, this void, and feeling empty and just feeling disconnected and feeling a little bit lost. And I just say to remember again, don't judge yourself. Don't judge the process. Embrace it. Be in it. Try to be grateful for it as much as you can because it is going to make all of us, myself included, better versions of ourselves. And just remember that after you experience nothing, you can appreciate everything. And I'll leave you with that. Signing off. Back to the void.